Okay, hi everyone. Welcome to the debut episode of the Uncanny Geekists. This is a new original podcast featuring me, Jess Camacho, and my co-host, Jadobi. Say hi.
Hey.
Um, just quick introductions. My name is Jess Camacho. I am a comic editor for Geeked Out Nation, and I also review comics for Multiversity and IGN. I love like every publisher. It doesn't really matter what publisher it is. I'm just gonna read it if I like it. I'm a big Batman fan, big X-Men fan. Not too crazy about comic book movies and TV shows in general, but I'm sure that eventually me and Jadobi will have that conversation, but definitely on another day. Um, Jadobi, do you want to introduce yourself?
My name is Jidobi Odunze, and also an editor for Geeked Out Nation. Big X-Men fan. I have no preference when it comes to comics. I even go as far as to reading the video game adaptations, all the video game comics, story. You know what I mean? Halo, Tomb Raider, everything like that. Um, I like LARPing. I like doing some digital art on the side, and most of what I watch tends to be either comedy, fantasy, or sci-fi.
Like Community.
Yes. There's 6 seasons in a movie. It's happening. We just need the
Maybe.
movie. Yeah, we just need the movie to complete the
Maybe.
series.
And it'll be like the toughest ride to getting the 6 seasons on a movie that any show will ever do. Ever.
Yes.
Cancellations twice. Now they're on Yahoo.
They're playing with their emotions.
Well, Yahoo, of all the people, they apparently have a streaming service now. Yahoo Screen. They when you go to their page, typically like in the evening hours, like they will have like all these links to different concerts that they're showing. And it's just so weird because it feels like it came out of nowhere.
I didn't even know it existed till that
Yeah.
announcement.
Yeah, it's weird. Like they just have like their own streaming service right on Yahoo. Like apparently, I found out they show Katie Couric's show on there. Just talk show on there. I mean, I don't know. It's very strange. It's a crazy development. Yeah. So I guess what this podcast really is us talking about all types of geeky stuff, mostly comic books because that's what we're really into. So what we'll start off with is each one of us is gonna just
Oh, I hope this is me. It doesn't look like me. Jess? Jess? Tell me it's not me. I don't want it to be me this time. Ugh. It seems like we're having some technical difficulties. Can't tell whether it's on my end or her end, though it's possibly Jess's since it has not kicked me out. 1 second.
I think I got cut off. My apologies.
Um, I feared. I thought it was me for a second. I was waiting, trying to figure out if it was going to kick me out or something.
No, my apologies. I think I got cut off again. We had the same problem last night with the X-Men podcast. Anyway, I don't know where it cut me off, but I was talking about Injustice and how I felt like that was the best thing of the week, especially with this Green Lantern storyline being all this build up to this huge final fight, and that everyone's saying goodbye, and Harley, of all the characters, is saying goodbye to her little mustache.
Yes.
I just thought that was so funny because it's just so perfectly her. because in a way she is actually really serious about that mustache, and that's made it so funny because I really do think she would be totally devastated if the little mustache got singed or something in the fight with the Green Lanterns. But I just think that book is so special and so just it's something so great because it takes a lot of characters and puts them into situations that you wouldn't see in the regular DC universe, but they all still retain a lot of their characteristics from the main DC universe. And there's just all the stuff that you can do in this world that you can't do in the main universe because there's just continuity and there's editorial, and Tom Taylor can really just do whatever he wants. And that's a big reason why I'm excited for Superior Iron Man, because I feel like he, in a way, is going to do the same thing with Iron Man, especially since they're moving him to San Francisco. So he's not even going to really be in contact with a lot of the Marvel heroes. So he can almost do whatever he wants. I mean, he obviously has a few rules when it comes to Iron Man, but he really can do whatever he wants. And I'm really loving Injustice, and I'm very excited to see the Constantine Superman showdown that we've been promised. We all know how Superman deals with magic.
It's gonna be crazy.
Yeah.
This is a tough choice. I think I'm gonna have to go with Solar number 4.
Awesome.
Uh, just because Erica, she's that type of person who came into having powers. It's not something she expected, and she just has fun with it. She doesn't. She kind of sucks at it, but she has fun with it. She'll go punching these aliens, and she'll end up getting socked in the face instead, and will still get back up trying to blast them with everything she has. And it's so fun because her dad is right there, and even when he's trying to explain to her things, especially when he's talking about math and it all just goes over her head, or she just says, "Really, I don't care. Let me do my thing." And I just like how Frank has reinvented the character from the different ways Solar has been written throughout the years with all the publishers. He's jumped Solar has jumped from. And that's not even getting to the art, which is very explosive, especially when dealing with someone like Erica, who doesn't show much restraint on what she can do, and will literally just throw everything she has, and you see all the colors, the different variations of them, the blending of the colors. It's just all very good. So I think Solar really stands out amongst the Dynamite titles as one that really aspires to show what a superhero is like, rather than just a pulp hero. And it's definitely out there, of course, just because of a lot of the space interactions that it's already jumped into in the 4th issue. I mean, technically, Miss Fury is also out there just because a lot of the time travel in there she does, but Solar definitely has Miss Fury beat there.
Yeah, Dynamite's been doing a lot of. Dynamite's kind of one of those smaller publishers. They don't put out a ton of stuff at once, and usually what they put out is really pulpy, and their characters that have been around a long time. But what I've noticed them doing is that they're trying to start new runs on certain characters to get more people involved. Um, Especially the way they've been marketing something like Red Sonja. Every time when the first story arc ended, when that second one started, they pushed it as, well, this is a really new thing. You can jump into this. And then they restarted Solar. They rebooted Vampirella. They have a new miniseries of Lady Zorro. And then the Shadow just had a 0 issue, which would have been a really good place to start. And I think that's something that's starting to catch on with publishers. I know a lot of fans get kind of annoyed with the renumbering and the rebooting of things, but I think it's a necessary evil because unfortunately people who don't read comics, they want to start with number 1.
Yep.
It's just what they want to do. And it's always been something they want to do, and it's like, if it's going to help get people reading, then I guess you just have to kind of deal with it. it takes a lot of luster away from those number ones. But I mean, at the end of the day, you want people to read your books. So I think it's a necessary thing that has to happen over time.
Mhm.
It's going to keep happening.
And
Um,
oh, yeah,
oh, go ahead.
and not to mention it makes things easier on the writers because when you go to a new number one or start with a new arc, like at issue 15 or so, it gives them more room to actually have a start and a definite finish, which a lot more people are starting to become adjusted to, and would definitely love to see more because going aimlessly, that's when a story gets dull and it just doesn't work too much anymore, and we're starting to see a lot more people want want more want more focus on their stories, and that's something that a lot of the publishers are picking up with and should probably continue with.
Yeah, definitely. So I guess what we should do is we should jump right into some of our pieces, our topic pieces for this week. I guess we should start with Secret Origin since I think that's maybe the most intriguing of the three books. So this Secret Origins, for those who haven't been reading, it's a series in which each book is the origin story of three different DC characters. You don't really have to read this series regularly. Um, None of it ties together. Um, but this week they address the New 52 origins of Harley Quinn, Green Arrow, and I forget who the third one was.
Um, who was the third one? I want to say Robin. Yeah, Robin.
Damian, yeah, there you go, Damian Wayne. So this was, needless to say, this was one that people were looking forward to. Mostly because there has been some talk that Harley's, especially among Harley fans, was going to be radically changed. And because she's in Suicide Squad, she has her own series, and the Death of the Family storyline, her and Joker fell out, so people were really wondering where her origin lied now, like where did she come from? And Green Arrow, obviously, with the TV show's popularity, people were wondering how that was going to be done. And then Damian Wayne, for lack of a better word, the 5-year timeline that DC is making everyone work with doesn't really work for the Batman line, unfortunately. It doesn't work. So I think what a lot of Batman fans have done is just ignoring the fact that that 5-year timeline even exists. Because if you do try to think about it, you get kind of your mind is just like, wait, what? There's no way this happened in 5 years. Um, so I guess I mean the one I want to really talk about is Harley Quinn.
Same.
Yeah, Harley has one of the like classic origin stories. Mad Love was a huge thing. I mean, when she debuted on Batman the Animated Series, she got so popular that they made her a comic character, and her part on the cartoon was supposed to be nothing more than like what you would call like a walk-off role on a TV show. It was supposed to be a one and done kind of deal, but she got popular and they put her in the comics. And her story then was that she was a therapist. She worked at Arkham Asylum. She got paired up as the Joker's therapist, and she fell in love with him, and then turned into the evil criminal clown princess Harley Quinn, and had a long-standing relationship with the Joker. New 52, they tweaked it. They tweaked it, and I don't know how I feel about it. um, I think it gave her a little bit more power, but then took it away. um, she was still a therapist, and but when she was, they showed a little bit when she was a kid. She was a weird kid. She was really into like serial killers and how killers think. She even had her first crush with some kid that ended up killing someone. And then she ended up becoming a professional therapist and worked at Arkham Asylum and felt like she needed a challenge. And so what she did was she masqueraded as an inmate so she could get close to the Joker. And what happened was she got found out and she had to stop. So her mission had her study was cut short. She ended up freeing him, and then he threw her into the same vat of chemicals that he was thrown into, bleached her skin, and then that's when their relationship started. But she also mentioned that she kind of did the ditzy thing on purpose because that's what he liked.
Mhm.
So it was like the power was given to her and then it was taken away a little bit because she was pretending to be somebody. But what I do think it did was it did kind of make her a little bit more relatable, I feel. Because a lot of people like to say that she's a poster child for domestic violence. And I honestly don't see her that way. I've always thought of her as just she fell in love with a bad boy. That happens. People fall in love with the wrong person, and it kind of messes with your life. And um, I just think she's a very exaggerated version of that. But I kind of like the small tweaks they did because I think it made her seem a lot more intelligent. That she masqueraded as an inmate to get there and be close to him, and it wasn't just the Joker told her some fake sad story and she fell in love with him like the pre-New 52 Harley. I don't know. How do you feel about it?
I liked it. I mean, I liked that at the very beginning they actually said this is tweaked. Um, and what I like, and I also like the whole intelligence thing because the one thing I've always liked about Harley in the New 52 is for the fact that she's constantly throwing people off guard because it's because they call her they call her unpredictable. They call her unpredictable, but they don't realize she's not unpredictable. She's just smart,
Mhm.
and they actually emphasize this in her origin that she's playing a part, and of course I also see how they took away the power with how she wasn't being herself. But you also like for the fact that when she broke away from the Joker, she really started to be true to herself. A lot of her lying to herself about how she was about the Joker, even though she still has feelings for him, still plays on how she treats herself currently, and how she treats herself, how she goes about handling other people, how she went about handling all those people she took. She
Oh
tells
yeah.
this secret to. I think that's the one thing that really throws you for a loop because you're just wondering. Because first you're wondering who are all these people she's talking to, and did she really just do that?
Yeah, I liked it. I think it made her a little bit more. I think it made her more intelligent because like before she just listened to his sob story that he made up and then became Harley Quinn because she fell in love with his sad story. It was not like, I feel like in the New 52 now, she made more of a decision in her own way to go with this whole Joker thing. And I like that they made it kind of funny at the end. And I mean, now, granted, the writers of this particular origin were Jimmy Palmiotti and Amanda Conner. They did this, and they are writing the Harley Quinn series, which I think for what DC has, I think the Harley Quinn series is probably their funniest one. It's just kind of out there and kind of crazy, um, but I like what they did, and I this is why I don't really hate retcons and things like this so much because things inevitably do have to change given what happens in storylines and new writers that come in. So if you're gonna do a retcon and it's decent and it sounds right and it makes sense with what's going on now, then I don't really have a problem with it. I like her new story.
Hmm. Yeah, and I like and I also like it because a lot of the people when they describe Harley, they call her a groupie, and a groupie doesn't necessarily just make you dumb. It just means you make your own decision to follow this person,
Hmm.
and that's pretty much what she did. And now she's not following him, and now she's being an individual with her own mind.
Yeah, yeah, I think that's important to note. I think the timing of her new origin was good too because of Joker's daughter being in the Suicide Squad. because I think she is a groupie. Like I think she is nothing but a mindless. I just want to be around the Joker kind of girl. I don't think there's much else to her. I hope someone gives her a little bit more so I don't dislike the character so much. Um, but yeah, I think the timing was good. So I guess we could go just, do you have any thoughts on the Arrow, on the Green Arrow origin?
Not too much. I'm a little burnt out on Arrow stuff.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be an unpopular opinion, but I'm going to just say it. I never really cared about his character in comics before the show, and after the show, it hasn't really changed, unfortunately. I just don't find the character all that appealing, and I know it's probably an unfair thing to say, but I feel like he's too similar to Batman. Um, I get he has different characters in his world, different relationships, but he's a billionaire who decides to fight crime. He just does it differently. And I don't think he's as detective as Batman, so he kind of loses that for me a little bit. But I get why he has a fan base, and the show has really helped him a lot. But I don't really like the show either, so which is unpopular enough as is. So I guess we'll just jump into the Damian Wayne origin, which I don't know. How did you feel about that?
I didn't have many feelings about it. I liked him as I like him as Robin, but I've never put much thought into anything that happened before that. So I don't know. It's good to have this story, but you can still live without it.
I actually feel like Damien did not. I My thing with the Batman stuff is that it doesn't make sense chronologically. It's like if things started 5 years ago, then how long was Dick Grayson Robin? How long was Tim Drake Robin? How long was Jason Todd Robin? And now he has a son. So in all that time, he had all these different sidekicks, and I never had a problem with him having different sidekicks because it spanned so many years. So it just felt like it just made sense. It's like, okay, well, this guy grew up and went on his own way. This one joined the Teen Titans. This one died. They had their stories, but like the 5 year thing doesn't make a lot of sense to me. And I really think that when they decided to do the reboot, if Batman Incorporated wasn't going on, if Grant Morrison wasn't writing that, I feel like Damian would have been retconned out
Hmm.
because I feel like he doesn't fit in the timeline at all. It's just he did age faster. That was always his thing because he was artificially created. So that part doesn't bug me. It's just where did all these other Robins and Bruce Wayne make this kind of relationship to where they mattered? If you hang around with somebody for 6 months, I don't think you're that close. But if you were with, sidekicks for like 5 to 10 years, 5 or 6 years, then I see that relationship being something. But I don't, and I also didn't see the point in telling his story because none of it was different.
Hmm.
It's the
Yeah,
same one we've had.
yeah, it's true. Just a little drawn out
Yeah, and I
or
guess,
condensed.
yeah, and I guess because the storyline that's going on in Batman and Robin, that his body was stolen, that I guess they felt like this was good timing, but it didn't make a lot of sense to me. He as a character where he fits in the New 52 doesn't make a lot of sense to me.
Hmm.
Doesn't make a lot of sense to me. Um, so I guess we could just move on into the next book if we don't have any more opinions about the Secret Origin series. I mean, how do you feel about the series overall? Do you even feel it's a necessary thing to do?
I feel it's as necessary as original sins, which basically means you have that one or two stories you buy it for, but you're never really interested in everything that it produces.
Yeah, I don't know who else I'd even want to see. I do want to see Poison Ivy, because she's had some big changes from the New 52 to before. So I'd like to see her origin done. Um, I guess I'd kind of want to see Catwoman's too.
Hmm.
Especially with the creative change that's about to happen with her, which I think, not to get too off topic, but I think Catwoman getting a new creative team and a new direction is going way under the radar. Because I think I mentioned this on the comic crossovers podcast that we do for Geeked Out Nation. I think I mentioned this, that the Long Halloween, that's really being felt in Batman Eternal as a huge influence, and we've seen her as the head of the Gotham Underground. Um, and I don't think there's any other way that's a possibility unless she does turn out to be Carmine Falcone's daughter, which was a very long running story in pre New 52, with her trying to find out who her parents were and things like that. And I think that's a change that's going really under the radar, and that's going to be a big shift in her character that could end up being really good. So I guess I'd like to see that as well. But it's a very strange series. I mean, I don't know how much longer they're going to run this, because it's not something you are compelled to pick up every month.
Mm.
Alright, so I guess we'll jump into the next book, which we talked a bit about on our X-Men show on Geeked Out Nation. So I don't think we have too much more to say about it, but we're going to talk a little bit about Storm. You want to start us off, Adobe?
Well, pretty much with this story of Storm, she's off doing her own thing. She's not carrying the baggage of whatever's going on with the X-Men, not the schism, not the schism. Yeah, not the schism, not her love her love chain or whatever that's been going on between Black Panther, Wolverine, and whatever else in between. This is just her being a hero, and just trying to do the right thing. And of course, it was a great decision having her going all the way up to what was it? What was that place again? The name,
She
the
went
name.
to, oh, the country she went to?
Yeah,
I don't remember the name of the country, but she's in Africa.
yeah. She's in Africa,
I just
so
don't know the name of the actual country.
yeah. So it was a great decision to have her out in Africa where she could actually be of use, where someone like Greg Pak can take advantage of all the research he's done on weather to really show how much she's grown as someone who can manipulate the weather compared to how she was when she was little, where she could have just swooped in and split that tidal wave that you saw in the beginning and probably ended up drowning a whole bunch of other people miles out. Where, as you see now, she uses a little more finesse to do to stop it and with minimal damage. And you kind of just like how she shows more of her strong personality. Yes, she has been headmistress for a while, and she has been leader of the Objectiveless X-Men, but you never really saw her strength as an individual, and that's a lot of what you see now. She does what she wants. She's a little bit more confident in herself, even if she is still finding herself, as we see from the little conflict that she had with Creep. So I think that this was a good start. It wasn't big, it wasn't big or over the top, but it was the introduction that you needed to the Storm that Greg Pak wants to show us, and of course the art was very good as well. That can't be ignored.
Yeah, I think too that this Storm book is a really good, if you are just like trying to get into the X-Men in general. I think this is a pretty decent place to jump on. Um, I think getting into Storm and how she'll tie into certain things, I think that's a good way to get introduced to the stories as a whole. So I think that's a big success, and I like how Storm is much more herself in this book. She's not wrapped up in relationship drama like she has been the last few years. Um, but I mean, I really enjoyed it. I really liked Storm, and I never saw Victor Ibanez's art, and I loved it.
Mhm.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think it's kind of a shame though that she waited so long to get an ongoing series. Like
That's true.
Storm, yeah. So like Storm is, I think Storm's the most important female X-Man. She was the first African American female hero. Like seriously, who was around before her? Misty Knight.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't think she came out before Storm. And I mean, Storm has like these amazing superpowers, you know?
hmm She's pretty much Omega in her own right.
Yeah. And you know, she's been headmaster of the school. She's been a leader of her own X-Men teams, and like she never got an ongoing. Like it feels like everyone else had one before her, and it's a shame.
hmm They certainly could have given her this series after the whole thing with her and Black Panther, so we could so we could have moved on from that instead of having it drag on for so long.
Yeah, and then that whole thing was weird too because I feel like she immediately started up that flirtation thing she's had with Wolverine since like forever.
hmm
I was like, that wasn't even really done, and you were already back at the school flirting with Wolverine.
Yeah, it's
Come
like
on, Storm.
that really didn't go anywhere because Black Panther told her not to do it as if he still had feelings for it, and even though she still went through with it, there was nothing happened after that.
Wolverine and Storm have always had this thing though, and it never really goes anywhere except when there's like a future storyline. They're like, oh yeah, Wolverine and Storm got married, and it's like what?
hmm
And that's always some weird thing that's never really happened, which I think we should be grateful for. Because I don't know, I feel like a lot of the time they try to push some female characters into relationships too fast instead of just letting them be on their own.
hmm
Um, Like, it has to happen organically, like Superman, Wonder Woman. I feel like that kind of just in the story that just happened on its own because the way that it initially happened, they realize they're the only two people in the world who probably understand each other.
hmm
Being superheroes and being like godlike, you know, they can't really get killed like normal people, and they fly and they have super strength, and you know, they know how it is. So it has to happen organically, or else it doesn't work for me. And I always feel like Wolverine and Storm is something that some writer soon is just gonna run with that, because he's not gonna be dead forever.
Mm-mm. Um. Oh crap! I had a brain fart.
And then what happened with and then I know Forge is gonna be in an issue soon.
And Chimera.
Yeah, and I'm excited for the Forge thing because I feel like that was an organic relationship that never got fulfilled fully. But then I also wonder, was it Nightcrawler all of a sudden in love with her? Like, what happened to that?
Oh, that's true. I don't know either. I
Like,
think it.
I think he has a girlfriend in his new book, and it's not Storm.
Her love life is just a mess. I just hope that this series gives a lot more focus to it.
Yeah, I get annoyed when things like that just get dropped because it's like he gets brought back to life and he's like, Storm, I love you, and now they're just not even in the same panels together. Like what?
That's why I like what's going on with Shadowcat and Star Lord because
Oh yeah.
yeah because she obviously doesn't feel the same way about him, but he likes her and she tells him I don't have the best I don't I'm not my relationships don't go that great and I don't have the best of luck with Peters. That was what I liked about the dialogue in
Yeah,
that book.
the Peter thing made me laugh. I was like, ha, Kitty and Peters.
Yep.
I that couple is so random, but I like it. Also, I think Star Lord is just one of those guys that's just like always in love with whoever he puts his eyes on. So I don't even know if his love is seriously that deep. I just think he's like, well, Kitty's there. I kind of like this one. I'm gonna try to be with her.
hmm
I don't know if it's all that serious yet. I think he's just like really lost in puppy love at this point, kitty love.
I just know if Angela ever disappeared from the team, they need to put Shadowcat in there with her twin katanas to make up for Angela leaving and just and see where that goes.
Well, as it was like literally just announced like an hour before we started doing this, Angela's getting her own series, so she might not be a Guardian of the Galaxy for much longer,
hmm
and then Gamora won't have a friend.
Yeah, unless she turns into another Wolverine who's doing one thing but is always off doing something else
Yeah,
when no one's asking about her.
yeah. They're just like, okay, well, we're going to all take a nap now, and then all you know is Wolverine is off with the Avengers saving the world from Thanos, and you're just like, wait, what? And you got back to the
Exactly.
school in time?
He gets back to the school looking sunburnt, probably missing his hair, his
Ah,
nose,
it's
half naked or something.
it's too much. It's too much with some. When you start to really think about some of these things, you're just like, I can't do this to myself. I have to stop.
Yep,
All right, so I guess we should jump into some Doctor Who. Yes,
definitely.
would not be a proper geeky podcast without a little Doctor Who talk. You know what? I think we should just. You know what? I think we should just throw a monkey wrench in here and talk about something else that leaked out while we're at it.
Yes, we did. Uh,
There was I have heard from places that the Doctor Who pilot leaked. Not the pilot, but the
yeah.
season premiere. Technically the pilot for Peter Capaldi, but um it's black and white. The CGI is not done yet, but the story's the same. On top of the leaked season premiere, a bunch of scripts leaked too. Which I must admit I did not look at scripts. I may or may not have looked at the season premiere. Um, and all I really would want to say is, Peter Capaldi is pretty good. I enjoyed him. I thought he was an interesting doctor.
hmm
But I don't know what you want to say about it, Jidomi.
I liked him as well. It was a great start. I mean, this one really challenges the way people look at the Doctor in general, especially especially when it comes to his age. So I really liked that focus in how it accepting that even that even when the Doctor changes, he's still your Doctor.
I think something people have to remember about Doctor Who is that the young cute doctors is a really recent thing. Like the classic doctors were not, they didn't look like David Tennant, they didn't look like Matt Smith. They were older men. The first doctor was an old man.
Yep.
He was not a young man at all. And I think people forget that the doctor does not have to be a young hot guy. It's a modern thing, and I know that after the ninth Doctor debuted, I know a lot of people became Doctor Who fans because new generation, it's a new place to start the show, and so I think that's cool, 'cause that's where I began watching. I've only been watching Doctor Who for about a year now, but I jumped in. I started with the Christopher Eccleston episodes because that's where everybody said you had to start. So I mean, I just think people should not look too far into the Doctor being an older man, since history says he's always been an older man, almost always been an older man. But this week we got the debut of the 10th Doctor #1 and the 11th Doctor #1. So David Tennant, Matt Smith doctors are resurrected in comic form.
Yep.
IDW used to have the rights, and I believe they just lost them. They gave them up, or they sold them over to Titan Comics, which is a British publication, which is fitting. And Al Ewing is writing the 11th Doctor. I believe it's the 11th one, right? And he's
Yep.
British.
Oh, hey, hold on. I didn't notice that.
Yeah, Al Ewing's British, which also I didn't know until I went to New York Comic Con last year, and then he started talking. I was like, Al Ewing's British. So, it's kind of cool that they get like European writers and artists to do it because I think, unfortunately, as much as Americans love Doctor Who is European. It has to have that European flavor. But I
Yep.
guess what we'll do is we'll jump into the 10th Doctor because speaking of the European flavor and not being American, the new 10th Doctor's companion is American. Her name is Gabriella. Um, she is a I that she'd be a second generation American, right? Or would she be technically be first generation because her parents immigrated over here? But anyway, her parents are Mexican immigrants. They own businesses. They own a laundromat and a restaurant. They're very hardworking, nice family from New York. She wants to be something more than what she has now. She doesn't want to be stuck working at her family's restaurant, and unfortunately, she's going to school for accounting so she can help the restaurant. And it's made clear that she's very intelligent, and I really I have to honestly say I did like the Tenth Doctor's book. I have always Doctor Who is very European, but I've always thought it would be kind of cool if he got an American companion because I feel like the two cultures would kind of clash, and it would be interesting to see that happen, especially if it's like an American girl like Donna, but American.
Yeah.
So it's like that would be a lot of fun. So I like that they went American with his new companion. I don't know if the writer of the 10th Doctor is American and that's where he got that from, but she's definitely different than the other companions that David Tennant Doctor had. Uh, he had Rose and he had Martha, and he had Donna, and this she's different, but I like her. The only thing I didn't like was her family.
Mhm.
They were
Yeah.
a little too flat. They were very one dimensional, very predictable. Like they reminded me of Martha's family. There was nothing to them.
Mhm.
So I didn't like that aspect.
Like, maybe if she was younger, but
Yeah.
mm, but it's oh well. Luckily we don't really have to deal with her family that much. In the near future when she ends up going on her adventures.
Yeah, I'm interested to see where it goes with her because I think she's an interesting character. I think there was enough there to like her and to want to see what she does with the Doctor. Um, I guess I kind of like her because I relate to her. Like she lives in the city, she's got a big family and she's in school and she's kind of feels like she's stuck sometimes. And I guess I just relate to that a little bit, and that's why I like her. But I just like it's an American companion. I mean, we're never gonna see that on the show. So
Nope.
no, we are never gonna say. Listen, Doctor Who fans, we're never seeing an American on the show in that capacity. It's not happening. So it's kind of cool that I think this is why I like the comics, the world of comics so much more, is because the Doctor travels time and space. So you can fit in any kind of story you want. It'll make sense because you just be like, oh, time travel. There's your reason.
Many possibilities.
Anything. So you get like a story like this where it's like a brand new companion and she's different than what we've seen. And I guess she's a little bit more Martha than anything else, but you know, I liked it. I thought it was good. I guess my biggest complaint aside from her family is we didn't get a lot of the Doctor.
Mm-mm. He was just he was kind of just playing catch up with everything going on.
Yeah. So that was a disappointment because it's like it's a Doctor Who comic but you know what it did remind me of? It did remind me of when we first met Rose.
Hmm.
Like we didn't see a lot of the Doctor in that first episode. Like we saw her doing her life, just going to work and seeing her mom and having chips. Because see, when you talk about Doctor Who, you got to call French fries chips because
That drives me nuts. I had a lot of British friends on IGN, and they would always say chips, chips, and then the first thing that's going through my mind is actual chips. But no, but they're talking about French fries. They would say fish. They would say fish and chips, and I'm thinking actual chips, and then they're like, no, French fries and chip and fish, and I'm like, okay. I mean,
Yeah.
it's still a weird combination, but
Yes, because when you talk about Doctor Who, you have to make sure you use the British terms. So chips. But I think that's why I like this issue too, because it did remind me of when Rose, that very first episode with Christopher Eccleston. Like you don't see a lot of him initially. You see more of her, because I think as big as the star as the Doctor is, you have to like his companion. You have to know his companion. You have to like his companion, or else you're not gonna like their adventures because it's just you're not gonna like it. Like that's how I felt with Martha. I didn't like Martha, and then just those episodes did nothing for me overall, unfortunately. Do you have anything else you want to add to like just talk about this particular book before we move on to Matt Smith?
that was pretty much it. I mean, I do have to say I did like the art. I liked the solid color and the detail that came a lot with a lot of what was supernatural or whatever that stuff was. Um, but yeah, I would have loved to see a little more of the Doctor. Would love to see a little more dimension to her family. Um, in general, you're just still anticipating what will happen when they both actually meet. So it was a good start. It just leaves you wanting a bit more. It gives you more reason to pick up the next issue.
Yeah, I guess we should just jump right into the other Doctor Who book then and talk about the 11th Doctor, which is Matt Smith, and this is seemingly after Amy and Rory.
Yep,
It doesn't.
after the second Big Bang.
Yeah, I don't believe he's met Clara yet. Well, met
Hmm.
Clara in the way that he knows her now.
Yep.
um, so I don't know. How did you feel about this one? Did you like the 11th Doctor?
I actually liked this one. It had a slow start just because of the focus on Alice as this new companion, but when things actually picked up, you really did like it. I mean, especially when it came to the tones that the art supported, because Alice doesn't have a happy life. A lot of it's depressing, gloomy. Things just don't go right for her. And I think that's what made her a great choice as a companion, because you want someone who will actually appreciate the adventures that the Doctor could offer her. And you see that from the way her story is explained, and everything is just in gray tones, and then she meets the Doctor and everything just blossoms into color. And especially so when the Doctor is accompanied by this huge alien dog that's, well, a rainbow dog. So I thought it was great because it's weird, and the 11th Doctor is pretty weird. He's spontaneous,
Yeah.
and and what I liked is the way he confronted her, because this is the kind of Doctor that shows a little more compassion. So he would be the one who would meet someone like Alice, see that she's sad, and actually himself go to her and say, "You look sad. Would you like to explain what's wrong?" And it just has a lot of potential, especially when someone like Alice could really use this change in her life, even if she would end up going back to that, I'm just gonna say, crappy life after it's all done.
Yeah. And I think the timing of meeting someone like Alice is perfect for him because it seems like this is right after he loses Amy and Rory. And in essence, that is what happened to him. You know, Alice's mom died, and in his world, basically Amy and Rory are dead.
Yep.
He's never seeing them again. So in all honesty, they might as well be dead. And it's just like, I think Al Ewing, being the very good writer that he is going to have a moment where they let all that out and they talk about the loss that they've been through because the Doctor just went through some serious loss right here. I mean, he just lost Amy and Rory.
Yep. That's what I liked because they're both pretty much alone, and she even asked him for such a big TARDIS, are you really traveling by yourself? And his reaction to it was very genuine. It was natural. It's what you would expect from someone at this point in the Doctor's life who's lost so much and really would have given up by then.
Yeah, I think like especially I don't know if any of this counts as in continuity or if it's canon or not. Um, but it's the Doctor is sad, and especially now, and it's a nice story. It's a nice companion for him to be with, and I think Alice will learn.
Oh, well, I think we're having a little bit of technical difficulties again. But as Jess was probably gonna say, we're probably gonna see a lot of growth from Alice. She'll probably come to enjoy to see. Ah, you're back.
Yeah, I think I got disconnected
It,
again. My apologies.
oh gosh, I was about to say, am I gonna have to figure out what you are probably trying to say?
No, no, no. Yeah, I just think I wonder if
Okay,
this is.
then you can continue.
Oh yeah, I just wonder if this is canon or not. Because when he meets Clara, he's really down. So if he
Hmm.
does have this companion somewhere in the middle, is he really all that depressed after he deals with this person, or does something horrible happen to
That's
her?
true.
It's not going to take away from me enjoying the story because I do like that it's Doctor Who doing what Doctor Who does. It's the show doing what it does, but in a comic book. So I do like that. I just wonder if any of it's canon or not.
Yeah,
And
that
then
I would definitely like to know that. It was, yeah.
yeah, and then
Go
even
ahead.
if do you ever wonder why they just don't do again, I haven't really read the IDW stuff, so I do always wonder like why not just do different stories with previous companions?
Hmm.
Like why not do the 10th Doctor #1 and have like Donna in it? Just tell different stories that happened in there. Like
Or
why do
maybe,
they Oh no, go ahead.
or do something fun like the 11th Doctor and Roy.
Yes. Amy has a cold and she can't travel, so the Doctor and Rory go off on their own. I think that would be kind of fun.
It really would,
I
because
think that would
because
be fun.
Roy is my favorite companion, so to speak. I don't. What do we classify him as? We can call him a companion technically, can't we?
You there?
Yep. Here.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I thought I got cut off again. But yeah, I have always enjoyed Rory too. And the new season, for those who aren't keeping up with, the news and stuff, the new season debuts in August and Peter Capaldi's Doctor is going to have a series as well, a comic series. Um that'll start in October, I believe. So there's going to be a couple months of
Yep.
episodes.
October.
Yeah, there's going to be a couple months of episodes, if not the entire season. I don't
Mhm.
know how long the season of Doctor Who is. This is actually the first time I'm ever going to watch Doctor Who as it goes on. So I don't know how many
Yeah.
episodes are actually in a season.
Oh wait, no, no, no. I watched the other one as a premiere. But what I really do like about this upcoming series is the focus on Madame Vastra and shoot, why do I keep
Jenny?
forgetting her name? Jenny, yes, and Jenny. Those two are awesome.
Yeah, yeah, and Strax.
Oh yeah, Drax.
Who I think is fun. But yeah, so I mean, Doctor Who is never gonna really go away, and that's the series, the comic series that intrigues me the most because I don't know how that's gonna work. He is a new doctor, so he really I don't see where I would say that his companion will be Clara because who else would he have?
Yep.
All right, so I guess since we're finished talking about Doctor Who, we'll move on to some more geeky stuff. I guess what I think we should do every wrap up of the episode, since this is our first one. This is going to be, trial. We're going to just, shoot out some geeky thing that we thought about this week that was cool, and we want to bring attention to, whether it's a show or a movie or a book we read or some type of new stuff coming out. San Diego Comic-Con is in full swing, so there's been lots of stuff that's come out just in the couple of days because we're filming this on a Friday, so if you're listening, we've yet to see what happens on Saturday and Sunday. But there's been some very cool stuff that has come out. I just got a message that Transmetropolitan is getting the Absolute Edition. So that is my pick for the best geeky thing I've heard all week. Transmetropolitan is a masterpiece. And I have one Absolute Edition ever, and it's Kingdom Come. Transmetropolitan is definitely something I could see myself getting. Spider Jerusalem is like definitely top 5 favorite characters of all time for me. He is classic. Everything about him is just so perfect. And Warren Ellis is a master. So that's my pick. What about you, Jadobi?
That's a tough one, but it would have to be the Mighty Avengers announcement because a lot of people still want to play on Sam Wilson's importance as Captain America,
Mm-hmm.
and it only makes sense. It only makes sense that he would take over as the possible leader for the team, especially when they're having trouble with their image, because a lot of people are still some people like politicians are still against them, trying to form their legitimacy as an actual team agency or whatnot, because Mighty Avengers they're actually promoting themselves on TV and whatnot. They're not going out. They're not always gonna go out there like the Avengers or these other teams and look for something to do. People are actually coming to them, so they have to look professional.
Yeah.
And you want someone as a face for it that people can trust, and Sam Wilson as Captain America is probably the best way to go about it, especially with this original Sin tie-in, when we find out that this Mighty Avengers team isn't the first Mighty Avengers team. So a lot can go on from there, and it's great that the series isn't getting canceled and that it's just being relaunched with a new direction and now called Captain America and the Mighty Avengers.
And I think too, it's like you're Captain America, you have to know how to lead a team.
Yep.
So it's almost like a given that he would be leading teams in general. He's going to be, I don't know if he's going to be the actual leader of the Avengers. There's a lot of new people on that team. This is not Steve Rogers. So it's possible that maybe, Bucky on that team will be the actual leader, since he seems to have so much experience in that. It's not settled that Sam Wilson's leading the Avengers, but he will be leading the Mighty Avengers, which I think is interesting. And did you see that cover though?
Yes. The only question I have is Spidey. I don't know why he's there.
I will be the most happiest person on earth if they somehow figure out a way to keep Otto as Spider-Man around.
Yes.
Like, how that'll happen, I have no idea. But if it happens, I'm so down for that, because I love him. He's such an ass.
He's an ass, but you love what he does.
Yeah, and then that cover was kind of cool, because it looked like Luke Cage has some rocket boots or something. So you
Yeah.
got Luke Cage flying now.
You know they probably got the money too.
Yeah, you got Captain America on your team. You got money.
Yep. Oh
So
yeah,
it's like
and
he
She-Hulk's costume looked a bit different. I'm pretty sure that was her with the S on on her chest.
Yeah, I think they designed that on purpose, like so it looked like everyone was these like flying superheroes. It's like a classic. I almost want to say it's a very DC like cover because DC typically has the super flying people and they're always flying up together. So it
Yeah.
reminded me of like Superman and like Wonder Woman on either side. So it looked like that, but it's a very classically done cover. I really like that cover. Yeah, I guess that's gonna wrap up our first episode. Uh, I guess what we'll do now is we'll just go around and tell everybody where you can find us. So again, I am Jess Camacho. You can follow me on Twitter at Camacho Jess. I am the comic editor for Geeked Out Nation, and I also write reviews at IGN and Multiversity. So you can always check out a lot of my work all over the internet. And just this will be up on Podbean. You can download it if you're watching it now, so you can download it audio and listen to it later. And leave us comments and good reviews, and so we can get more publicity. And we'll keep doing the show. If you have any like questions or that you want us to answer on here, debates we could have, whatever, just comments away, and we'll fill it in.
My name is Shinobi, and I am the other comic editor. Check out whatever my reviews, my column off the panel. Earlier this week, I had one on the Avengers now, and the other one on Superior Iron Man. The one next week will be on which fantasy books I would recommend to you guys from this year so far.
All right. So now you got all that, and we're gonna sign off now. So thanks for listening / watching, and we'll see you again next week. Have a good one.
See ya.